I'm going to put together two major concepts: birthright citizenship and Donald Trump's unsuccessful attacks on it so far, and his racial profiling cases, which are now up at the United States Supreme Court. We put those two concepts together. We explain them to you the only way we know how, simply and without blowing smoke or sunshine, on the Legal AF podcast. And here's a clip.
Popok, talk about these four cases, Donald Trump losing on birthright citizenship, you and the most recent one being in Maryland, right? Everybody was saying when the Supreme Court made that ruling on nationwide injunctions that seemed to prohibit the idea of nationwide injunctions. But when you read deeper the way we did, we said, well, actually, it only prohibits it on one-off cases that do not involve states or class certification. So where there is a class action or a state that is the plaintiff, the Supreme Court's ruling will not impact that. Now, there's really been no difference in terms of, at least on this issue, particularly birthright citizenship, from district courts, because they've just been certifying class actions. They're ripe for class action certification. What does that mean, Popok? And how come we're not seeing these emergency appeals by Trump right into the Supreme Court as we've seen on other issues?
Perfect. Thank you for that setup. So 4 different cases. Judge Coffenor up in Seattle, Judge LaPlante up in New Hampshire, a judge whose name just escaped me up in Massachusetts, and Judge Boardman in Maryland. It'll come to me. They all did the exact same things before the United States Supreme Court ruled at the end of June, not on the substance of birthright citizenship. Why would they want to address that? But rather trying to take a tool out of the tool bag for judges about nationwide injunctions, wrapping them on the knuckles. No, you never had the power to do nationwide injunctions. That's for the Supreme Court to do, unless states are involved, or you should use class actions. Do class actions with injunctions on top of class actions. Okay, I mean, that was the one area that Kavanaugh and Sotomayor both agreed. Sotomayor literally said in her dissent, like, tomorrow, within hours of this decision, you guys should be running back to court with class action complaints. Same courts, same judges, just different vehicle. Just take your papers and convert them like now. And they all did it. In the CASA case, CASA Incorporated, which is in front of Judge Boardman, they got in within hours and filed. When you file and when the judge makes her decision is two different things. And she just got around to making her decision today. Last month, Judge LaPlante, almost identically in New Hampshire, ruled. If you put them next to each other, the two orders are almost identical. Pardon me. First, she certified and he certified a class. And the class is of currently born babies and babies yet to be born. The born and the unborn, who are subject to this executive order that Donald Trump issued in March to deny birthright citizenship to people born on U.S. soil, in violation of the 14th Amendment. Because all those judges, even before, had all universally said you can't change the Constitution, and your interpretation by executive order doesn't do it. Now, there is another thing that got lost by mainstream media that I pulled out during a recent hot take: the position the Trump administration took about the unborn. You would think an administration that spent a hell of a lot of time arguing to the United States Supreme Court to rip down a constitutional right for a woman to choose, arguing that fetuses, no, embryos, have rights equal to that of their born mother, would not be taking the position that they took in these cases in the definition of the class by saying unborn have no rights, unborn have no standing. How can you define the class as future to be born babies? So they are not, when it's convenient to them and the argument doesn't fit, you see how quickly they drop the argument that those that are not yet born have rights. And those were all rejected by both Judge LaPlante and Judge Boardman. The other interesting thing is, where's the appeal? We already had Judge LaPlante in July give the administration 7 days to run to the Supreme Court on an emergency application. Judge LaPlante even said in his order from last month that John Sauer, the Solicitor General, had effectively promised the judge that they would be immediately moving for a stay or a emergency appeal at the United States Supreme Court about the substance of birthright citizenship. And that came and went. And that's the reason you and I don't talk about the Trump administration implementing and executing on their executive order, because that order and another one earlier has kept in place the injunctions, and they have not run to get those removed. Now, there's two theories here, and I'll get your opinion, of course. One is that they know they don't have the votes on the substance of birthright citizenship. How would they know that? Oh, I don't know. Ginny Thomas is home every day with Clarence Thomas. I mean, you can do the math and the pillow talk that could happen. So either they politically figured out they don't have the votes to tear down birthright citizenship, even with this right-wing Supreme Court, or it's a political timing issue. They're waiting for the last decision. They want to take them all up together, and they're really waiting for maximum distraction for when they have another bad news cycle. And they can then take the appeal on a political calculus. It's one of those two things. Which do you think it is, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, look at what they just took on an emergency basis, though, to the Supreme Court this past week. They took the issue of racially profiling migrants against the Ninth Circuit injunction. Again, well, there was a district court injunction in California. Then the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed it. Then the Trump regime ignored what the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals did. They launched Operation Trojan Horse this past week, where Trump sent ICE agents in Penske trucks, 30 of them at a time. They'd pull into parking lots in California and Los Angeles where migrants were known to work, and then they would all run out, the militarized looking ICE agents, and start chasing all of the people in the community, like straight out of a horror movie, knocking them on the ground, beating them, grabbing them by their collars, and then holding them up like ducks that are killed from a hunt, or like a trophy. That took place this past week. In the brief to the United States Supreme Court, I think, Popok, they want this to go first before hitting birthright. I think they want to knock out. So it's a timing issue. Yeah. And so they've argued that if people speak Spanish and have brown, this literally in the brief, they said, while it may not, I'm almost reading verbatim, while it may not always be the case that your skin color and language is enough to find probable cause to arrest you, citizen or not, the fact that you have those qualities in Los Angeles, which they argue is known to have at least 1 out of every 10 people living, may be undocumented. There's no citation, but that's what they say. That's enough for probable cause. I mean, literally in the brief, brown skin, speak Spanish in an area known where migrants could work. That gives us probable cause. Arrest everybody. That's why we're hearing the stories. Pregnant women arrested, citizen, just whoever, just citizens arrested. Not whether you're, in my own view, whether you're a citizen or not a citizen, no one should be treated like this. Animals shouldn't be treated like this. And again, this is what's going on under the name of the United States, a full-fledged authoritarian regime here. And it's why, tourism from Canada is down anywhere from 32 to 40%. And the rest of the world, tourism is down the same. I want to talk about Democrats fighting back, Popok, but the one thing I'll mention just on the Canada front as well is that they have their own version of the Girl Scouts in Canada. I think it's called Girl Guides, 60,000. It's just emblematic of everything. They're canceling all of their travel to the United States because the parents of girls in Canada don't want their daughters or sons, but in this case, daughters, coming into the United States where horrible things can happen to you. And so as we start to look towards the World Cup and the Olympics and America as this fascist regime, I think there's going to be a lot of problems there. And, and then Popok, the other wrinkle of this authoritarian state.
Welcome back. Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Catch the podcast Legal AF full length, an hour long, on the YouTube channel for Midas Touch. We then do free versions of that and commercial free versions of that on the Legal AF Substack. While I've got you, come over to Legal AF, the YouTube channel, and free subscribe there, Legal AF MTN. We're continuing to grow. We're trying to get to 1 million at our 1 year anniversary. With your help, we're going to do it. So Watch us on YouTube for Legal AF, the podcast, Wednesdays and Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Midas. Download, we need the help on the audio too. Audio download, Legal AF, wherever you get your audio podcast from. And that's what keeps us high in the rankings. I mean, we're top 20 in all YouTube podcasts. We're top 50 generally in all news podcasts on audio. Need some more audio, need some more video. If you don't know about Legal AF, now you do. Join us. Personal invitation from Popok to you. Join us Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And while you're here on Legal AF, the YouTube channel, hit the free subscribe button here as well. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.